Hello, I am Jason Shapiro with crowdedmarketreport.com. Today is Sunday, May 18th, 2025. This is a discussion that I wanted to have that I hope will help people right now. And it's about the time when the second time in my life, and what ended up turning out to be the last time, but the second time that I blew out my account. And I'll just say this first. I blew out my account to zero, okay? I had finished business school. I had made money trading while I was in business school, and I was about 29 years old. And I had close to $1 million, and I was a single guy, and I had the world beat. And I moved to actually Phuket, Thailand, had this really nice house, brought in a satellite dish, and was trading, and I was ready to go and make my fortune because clearly, with the money that I had made while trading in business school, that I was going to take over the world. I knew what I was doing, and the markets weren't going to mess with me. And this is when that was. It was like this 96 period here, okay? And I decided, in all of my knowledge, that the market was going to go down. And I started shorting, and it kept going up, and it gave me like little brief sort of respites here, but kept going up, and eventually I blew out shorting. And I'll say this, I've blown out twice in my life. Both of them were because I was shorting stocks, okay? I always equate shorting stocks to like taking heroin. I have never taken heroin, but I think that with heroin, it probably feels very good when you're on heroin. But the long-term consequence is that you end up in a very, very bad place. And I feel like it's the same thing with shorting stocks. When you make money shorting stocks, you feel like a hero. And that feeling is one you want to have again and again. But over time, it ruins you. And I just want to give an example here, but like December 5th, I had been shorting this whole way, right? Shorting, getting stopped, shorting, getting stopped, shorting, getting stopped. And the problem with that is now you're stuck because you've been shorting for so long and losing money for so long that you feel like you can't miss it now. So every one of these little things down, I was shorting here, shorting, you know? Because you can't miss it now because you've been shorting for so long. And you can't get long now because it's like, oh, well, now I'm finally going to get long and now it really is going to go down and I'm going to lose money on the other side. So you're stuck in this really bad place. And on this December 5th of 96, which was here, Alan Greenspan came out and said that he thought that there was some irrational exuberance in the stock market. And this was my justification, okay? It was like there were only two people that understood that, me and the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And I was going to get short, and I was going to make a ton of money on it now. And here it was. And then we ripped straight up, right? And this is pretty much where I blew out, somewhere right around here, right? And look, then we came down, but then we ripped straight up again. And as you know, we went all the way up until the end of 1999. So there was another 2 years in this bull market, right? And this is what happens, when your primary idea is to be short, especially when the market keeps going up. In a bull market, which is what we're in most of the time. It always feels like this is the top at the time. But if you go out a little longer, you can see that it most likely wasn't the top, This was like an S&P level of, it's embarrassing to even, I think, talk about what S&P level this was at, because it's just so utterly ridiculous, quite frankly. But let me just check. The S&P in December of 1996, right, was like way below 1,000. Let me put it that way, right? It was like 500, 600, something like that. So then that seemed like it was so high and it was so shortable, right? And as it turns out, that was just so very wrong. And I want to say, after this happened to me, I was 29 years old. I was single when I started trading down in Phuket. In the meantime, I got married and we were pregnant. So now I wasn't just a single guy. I was a married guy with a kid coming, and I was broke, dead ass broke, because of my short habit. It took me 5 years to recover from that. Just recover back to the point where I could pay my bills. Okay. And it took me another 5 years to recover to the point that I was actually doing okay. 10 years to get back from that, because I couldn't trade my way out of that because I lost all my money. So where was I going to get money to trade? You know, and frankly, that's how I ended up getting into the money management business, because I had to try and raise money to trade. I had to convince my friends and my family, and then I could build a track record. And then slowly I stopped doing this. I learned my lesson here, along with other lessons that I learned. And I started to build a good track record. And over time, I was able to get some jobs and do a little better there, and get better jobs and do better there, and then raise my own fund and all that. But it took 10 years to recover. I was 29. By the time I could afford to even live like a decent human being, I was 39. And by the time I got like a first real good job, I was 40, right? I don't want that to happen to anybody. And I'm telling you, the highest probability way to do that is to keep shorting the stock market, right? If you think right now, for example, that this is the time to short the stock market, you're probably going through the same thought process I was going through, which is that you missed the bull run. So now you had to catch it on the other way, right? A lot of people have missed this run in the last couple months. It kind of came out of nowhere and it's ripped very quickly. And if you've missed it, now you feel like you got to get it on the short side. No, if you think it's overbought, you think it's overvalued, you think the macro is so terrible, it's fine. You don't have to be long, but you don't have to be short. Okay. Is what I'm trying to say. You know, and if you want to be short, at least wait for some kind of market confirmation, which I talk about a lot. What I see as market confirmation, what are other ways to look at market confirmation, but you have to choose for yourself. But at least wait for that, because otherwise you'll just get run over and you will get caught in this horrible cycle that you can't get out of. And where you end up getting out of it is when you're broke, and then it's too late, right? So this is like almost a plea to people. Don't do what I did at 29 years old, and don't feel alone. Everybody goes through this. This idea of the market has run up. I haven't been long. I feel like an idiot, so I'm going to catch it on the downside is a very typical feeling. All right. But the difference is you don't have to lose money shorting it like I did, and like many people have done doing that, right? Be patient. If the stock market's a short and you think that this is a bubble and you think that it's over, well, there's a long way to go down. You don't have to be in such a hurry. You can't keep shorting new highs and new highs and new highs just because you think it's going down. And really psychologically, just because you've missed the bull run and you feel bad, so you want to catch it the other way. You can't chase it here. And so you want to catch it the other way. Extremely dangerous. I know it well. And I'm telling you, it bankrupted me. And it took me a decade to recover. You don't want to be there. You just don't. Trust me. Okay. So that's really my message for the day. I hope that helps. Always happy to hear questions and comments. And we'll talk again soon. Okay. Have a good week. Thank you. Hi. I just wanted to say, if you like daily videos, we do them 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, for people, and it costs, $10 a month. And I try to include a lot of other lessons as I go through, as you see in the daily videos as well. For that $10 a month, you also get our COT charts on equity indices and crypto. So if you think that's worth it, give it a shot. All right. And we hope to see you there. Thanks.